Oh, it just smoked. Well, I just killed this fan. Hi, Dylan. Hello and welcome to CEO's Projects. Today we're going to go through all the different fans you might see in the wild, from computer fans to refrigerator fans, and to even fans that run off of 230 volts. So, to start off, we're going to use just one of these tiny little mini fans. You might find them in power supplies, you might find them in old graphics cards, but they usually operate off of 5 volts. And all you need to do is just plug in a DC source. As long as it's within somewhat range, you should be fine. So as you can see with this power supply, it's fixed to 1 amp, at least on this end. It spins not too great, not too little, and yeah, it's very basic. They usually break very easily, which is why you don't find them in high-end stuff like graphics cards and computers. So that's just the first one. Now, we just need to swap this back to 12 volts. So for the normal computer fans, they're going to be operating at a little bit of a lesser voltage, lesser current, because this is a fixed 1 amp. Then when we get to the big ones, we're going to have to switch over here because that will allow me to do 24 volts. So now we get to our next one, which I've yet to strip the wires for, so we're actually going to do that right now. This is a 12 volt DC fan that I'm pretty sure I pulled out of a power supply, a 12 volt power supply. So these, they're just very standard. They're in more cheaper power supplies because of the fact that it only has 2 terminals, so they're a little bit cheaper to produce compared to more 3 or 4 terminal ones like you see here. So as you can see, they're pretty good. They're quiet-ish, but they still make some amount of noise. They're not nearly as loud as, well, I guess, one that you'd plug into 230 volts, but they're still pretty good. And they're for power supplies, which very often don't really use the fan inside them, but yeah, so they're pretty good. Put that on the ground. Next, you get a modern day blower type. This is made by Foxconn, like a solid majority of the fans that I have. And it's 12 volts, 0.75 amps. And this, I'm fairly sure I pulled out of a mini PC. Now these, as you can see, have 4 wires, which means they have 4 poles. And yeah, they essentially suck in air from the top here, and through these fans, or through these blades, they push air out, which is perfect for PCs when you need to get more hot air out. But granted, always remember, you always want more positive pressure instead of negative pressure in a PC, because positive pressure will also just push out the air. Negative pressure will leave a vacuum, which might not be something that you want. So, just having to plug this back in. Oh, and also, most to all computer fans will operate at 12 volts, just because you require less current. Because if you have a 5 volt fan, you want it to act the same as a 12 volt fan, you're going to have to pull more current, which might not be the best thing that you want to do. Because voltage is a lot easier to supply than current when you have to deal with things like massive power supplies and massive graphics cards and CPUs. So ground to ground. We're using just a very standard DuPont connector. Wow, that actually has a lot of push. So the air, obviously you can't feel it, but the air is actually coming just straight out. So, as you can see, it blows pretty darn well. But since it is still plastic, it is still good. It's But this is mostly for CPU fans. Essentially the CPU, don't want to short that, will be mounted like this, and then it'll just blow straight out. They're great. The only problem is, though, they're a little bit harder to clean, and taking them apart can be a problem. And usually they're more prone to breaking than any of just the standard fans. So, without doing anything bad. But yeah, these are pretty cool. They're also super useful just as extractor fans because you don't have to stick the extractor here. You can stick them right here, which makes it a lot smaller and, well, they're a lot thinner. So having a thin extractor, while it's a lot less surface area, they're a lot more portable. Also, they're perfect for making on-the-go fans. Now we get to a much larger version. This I pulled off of a much smaller, or a much older CPU. It is covered in a lot of dust. This is a 12 volt, 1.35 amp blower compared to a 0.75 amp blower, so this is nearly double the current, so it should be a lot louder. And this is for when computers essentially had 1 or 2 fans. This, in the case, was actually the only 1 fan. This is a 3-wire thing, and as you can just see, it's yellowed and it's old. I don't even recognize the company that it's from. So, we're gonna take it and plug it in. And fun fact, I actually got this power supply out of the garbage. Huh. That's odd. It's, oh. So I was wondering why it wasn't spinning as fast. I don't know if you can see that. It's not spinning as fast. The reason why is because this is not operating at the correct current. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna do some switching up. We're gonna go here. We're gonna set it to about 12 volts. We're gonna make sure that it is 12 volts using this multimeter. And so let's see. Okay, so we're about 3 volts. Almost there. All right, so we are at about 12 volts. Close enough with a little bit of voltage sag. So, thankfully, since it's common ground on both terminals, I don't even need to change the ground. I just needed to change the positive. So, with this, we're gonna see, hopefully, how well this works. Red is positive. No, it's so weird. It's also pulling minimal current. Whatever. Do I have to switch this? Okay, so if I up the current, or if I up the voltage, it makes it a little bit more. So let's see, what voltage are we running at? It doesn't know, but I'm gonna stop running it at that voltage. So this, I can tell you from experience, oh, okay, something disconnected. I thought the thing just exploded. This fan can be very, very, very loud. If I were to hook this up to a 12 volt power supply, not a variable power supply, it is very, very loud. There's a reason why I took this out of the case. Now we get to our standard type of fan. You're probably gonna find this type of fan in free cases, or this type of, essentially, this is the fan that you get for free. This is a Cooler Master fan, which they're pretty good. They're not Noctua, but they are still pretty good fans. They're quiet enough, and they are very strong. They're not slow. And now we also have to play the fun game of which one is the negative, or which one's the positive. So let's just plug this one in first. And oh, ooh, that was something. There you go. So as you can hear, it's pretty quiet. It does enough, which this is also, oh, that's why it's operating a little bit weird. This was negative, so that's weird. They're all operating on them. Huh, that's weird. I think we'll keep it on there just for safety. But they're pretty quiet, and they work fairly well. This one is from 2021. And this is 12 volts, 0.16 amps. So that's about 1.2 watt fan. Nothing really much compared to a 240 watt fan, which we'll get to at the very end. So, all right. Oh, and by the way, usually, if you have a fan, whichever side has the grate on it is the side that it will blow out. You can also sometimes find it on, what do you call it? You can sometimes also find it on markings, like right here. See if I can show it to the camera. As you can see, it blows out a certain way. So it blows out down, and the blade rotates to the, well, in this case, to the left, which also can be seen by the fact that the grate is on this side. But we'll get to that in a second. This is a big Foxconn fan. Like I said before, with the other Foxconn fans, they're pretty big. They're fairly standard. Now I have 2 of these on the top of my computer case because these were old CPU fans, which means these things used to rip. This is a 12 volt, 0.9 amps. So if you dump in a lot of current into it, you can get a pretty good positive pressure input, which when you have a 3080 and a 12700K running in a PC, and you're playing very high games, or very high power games, you need something like this. Also, these were free, so compared to these Noctua fans, which they can be like $20 to $30 sometimes, pulling these out of a PC case, as long as you don't mind a little bit of extra noise, these are pretty sick. And usually you can get them for free, or for stupid cheap. They're also 4-wire fans, so if you care just to do a tiny bit of, just pulling out the wires and fix them, they will usually act perfectly fine. See, as you can see, it's a, oh, that's weird. Uh-oh. Why did it just stop? Oh, it just smoked. Well, I just killed this fan. Hi, Dylan. Okay, I just killed this fan. Well, that's why you don't run fans at an incorrect voltage. Oh yeah, that's dead. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna skip past that fan. And we're also gonna stick to the 12 volts instead of the other volts. Yikes, wow, no, okay. Well, I got that straight on camera. Usually these are much better. I was able to run one of these at 20 volts once. Maybe it was the current? I don't know. Well, you just got to witness me killing a fan. It's the first time I've actually ever done that. Usually it's the power supply that's doing it on its own. Yeah, no, that's dead. Well. Alright, let's make sure not to kill the Let's make sure not to kill. Okay. Let's make sure not to kill this expensive fan. This is a Noctua fan. They are very quiet. This was supposed to go to a CPU cooler, an NHD15, I'm pretty sure. This was just a spare because we couldn't fit the other fan in the case. So, yeah, so we have this. So, we're going to wire this up, and if this fan blows up, I'm going to cry. So, here we go. And I think we're going to try with the yellow. Okay, not on fire. So it's a lot quieter and a lot more surface area. It doesn't blow as much, which we're gonna keep it at that just because there's no way in hell I'm plugging it in to that again, because if I blow up this fan, I don't think my oh, do I? Okay, I thought it blew it up again and it just shorted the power supply. Okay, that's fine. But as you can see, they're pretty quiet and they're pretty good. I mean, they're expensive for a reason. They're expensive because at high RPM, they're very quiet. You'll probably not really find these in the wild, per se, compared to like these just old fans, including the one I just blew up. But they're pretty good, and if you can get your hands on them, keep them, because they're perfect for really anything. Alright. Now, this is a fan that I actually can't show you how well it works because I don't have a 230 volt power supply, but this is a solid metal 230 volt fan given to me by my uncle. This can take off fingers, I know, because he took a carrot and put it into one of these. Now, I'm not going to show you with this, I'm going to show you with this one how it would act against a popsicle stick. But yeah, they're fairly cheap, not really expensive, but when they spin, they spin. They're mostly for, machinery is the best way to say it, because realistically you're not pulling 230 volts unless you're in a different country besides the US, but my uncle uses a bunch of these for cooling. He made a oven that actually was used to bend stone, which is pretty cool. So now we get to this type of fan, which it looks like a normal computer fan. It's about the same size, but there's one tiny difference. It plugs into the wall, which it's very great, except for the fact that it's a little bit sketchy. Oh, it also unplugs. Okay then. Yeah, it just has little 2-pronged terminals on the back. So, I pulled this fan out of the garbage because they said it didn't work. I hit it with, oh, I hope you can plug back in. I hit it with a little bit of grease, and the thing works perfectly fine. So let's plug this bad boy in. So it's a little bit loud, as you could probably guess, but it's fairly strong. I mean, it's not as strong as what that fan should have been. I still can't believe I blew that up. But yeah, it's also a little bit loud, but honestly, for something on the go, or for an extractor fan, this would be perfect, because unlike with something else, you don't need an extra power supply that's gonna convert wall power to DC. So this is perfect for that type of stuff. Oh, it smells like burnt plastic. My mom's gonna be mad at me. So let's unplug that. I don't know how expensive these are. I couldn't really find it online what this would be. So yeah, but these are something like this. It's pretty cool. Again, you won't really find this in a computer, but if you're going around a garbage site or something like that, you might just find these just lying around. And now we get to my favorite. The reason why we needed this power supply in the first place. This is a... Oh, I kept saying it was 240 watt. It's not. I think I was able to dump 10 amps through this. I don't think I'm gonna repeat it after what just happened, but this is a $230 fan, which is very insane. I got it off of an industrial freezer. Now, the blades on this are plastic, but the metal casing is, oh well, it's metal. So what I'm gonna do first is we're going to make sure that this is 24 volts. We're at currently 4.56. Uh-oh. Huh. Okay, so we didn't blow a fuse. Thankfully, something was wrong, which is probably why this thing ended up in the garbage, because it just decided to not do more than 1 volt. So, okay. Back to what I was saying before. We get to do the fun thing, which is use this big boy. So we're just going to put this to 24 volts. 19, 21, 22, 24 volts. Which means that this is all good to go. Just need to plug it in and be very, very safe about this. So we have our positive connected. We have our negative connected, and for what you've all been waiting for. Oh, I'm gonna have to hold this in, aren't I? Yep. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. Alright, well. We have life. Oh god. So, to say that this is a strong fan, just watch this. This is very, very strong. Jesus. So, I'm gonna take this, and we're just gonna put it on here and see what it does. Never mind, I actually want to keep this fan, so we're not gonna do that. But this is a very, very strong fan. I mean, just, how many fans do you know that can propel itself? Not into the cutter. So, yeah. This is a very strong fan. It definitely lives up to its $230 name. But yeah, it's really strong. Again, I pulled this off of a cooling unit for an industrial freezer. So not the freezer itself, the thing that cools the freezer. So yeah, it's absolutely insane. I do not want to put my fingers anywhere near this while it's operating because, as you can see, I've already sliced my hand up a little bit yesterday while I was cooking. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any really other fans. No, I mean, I would have really loved to show you guys this because it did operate at some point. I don't really have a supply that could do this that I trust would not burn down my house. But yeah, well, I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.